Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of Talk Openly with Lions Roar Dharma Center. My name is Jac. I'm with my wonderful and, as earlier he was describing, very heated Daniel. Hi, Daniel.
That's me coming you from the bowels of hell in Sacramento, California,
Right.
where it's very, very hot. So yeah, bear with me tonight. My insides are nice and cool though, thanks to meditation practice. But hi, Jac. Nice to see
Hi,
you.
Daniel. Nice to
Hello,
see you.
Lions Roar Dharma Center audience. It's good to be with you all.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about it. I think tonight's going to be a good conversation. We're actually going to be talking in the second half of our show about one of the Lojong slogans that we read a couple weeks ago, and it's "Don't rely on your good nature." And we're going to get into what that means, and the kind of different interpretations and kind of how we are seeing that play out in our lives, or rather, where we might get stuck on that one.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it's going to be good, and
And
I'm
I'm
really
going to
glad.
work in this is like a little teaser.
Yeah.
We are also going to be talking about nudist beaches. So,
Oh, great.
yeah, just a little teaser. Keep people listening.
Nudist beaches. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, and I think this might tie into the title, right? Is about authenticity. Is that right?
that's
We're
right.
talking
That's
about
right.
authenticity.
Authenticity on the path.
Right. Great. Well, always a necessary topic to be exploring. So I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, actually, thank you, Dirk, for bringing it up. He
That's
not
right.
only is the creator of the random Lojong slogan generator at lionsroardharmacenter.org, which we encourage everyone to take a look at, but he also is the person who pushed us to dig a little bit deeper into a Lojong slogan because we came across this slogan. We were a little bit befuddled by it. It wasn't entirely clear from the commentary what was going on there. I said I'd go off and ask our eminent scholar, Dirk, to explain it to us. And he said, I ain't got no time for that. Go and figure it out yourself.
Uh-huh.
I'm paraphrasing, of course.
For sure. Well, it's great. I think that's actually very great advice and kind of bodhisattva advice that actually ties well into this slogan, being
Correct.
authentic, right?
That's right.
Not being codependent and
Uh-huh.
overextending yourself. So we're going to get into it because this is one that
Yeah, we
is
are.
a perennial problem for me. So so good. Thank you, Dirk, for your positive example of saying no, setting boundaries.
Thank you, Dirk.
Thank you. So how are you doing other than being extremely hot and miserable in that way? How
Oh,
are
I'm
you?
not miserable. No,
Oh,
no.
good.
No, no, not miserable. Just
No
hot.
misery.
A little bit
Okay.
redder than usual. You wouldn't believe it, actually. If you're watching the show and not just listening to it, as most people would, you would notice that normally I'm actually quite red. I'm actually redder than usual today,
Hmm.
but I have a nice little filter on Zoom to tone it down a bit. I don't need makeup. I just got Zoom filters on.
There you go. Looking good.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about not being authentic, huh? No,
Hey, sometimes, yeah, we got to make
it's okay. I
exceptions.
couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it. I was like, it's bad enough being this hot, but like being cherry more red than usual. No, can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, no, no, I'm good. I'm actually really good, and I'm super super stoked about my practice. There were two things that I wanted to share with you that I thought were really cool related to practice. One of which was this morning. I was doing Tonglen and I had this experience where it was actually, speaking of authenticity, it was like an authentic Tonglen experience. Now, I've done a decent amount of Tonglen, right? And it's been really helpful, right? So don't get me wrong. Like it was helpful from the start. And that's why I wished to continue doing it, right? Like it's just been so incredibly helpful. But I've been faking it, right?
Hmm.
So I can do the receiving part of it. so Tonglen is sending and receiving, receiving and sending. And so the receiving part of it has usually felt pretty genuine, but the sending part where you send sort of the positive virtues, your own sort of whatever merit, if you will, uh,
Mm,
outward towards the other person, that's always been relatively difficult for me to do, both the visualization of it, but also the genuine heartfelt desire for that. Like it's
yeah.
like the bodhicitta hasn't been turned up that much. It's been aspirational bodhicitta, right? And so it was really neat this morning. I was doing my regular meditation practice, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to do a little bit of Tonglen. And it was really an exquisite experience in which I was working with a family member that I've had some trouble with in the past. And I was able to like really bring him up vividly in front of me, which is usually quite difficult for me to do, but
Mm,
my mind was stable enough sort of after the meditation. I was able to do that. And then as I was doing the receiving and sending, the actual sending was an actual genuine, heartfelt wish to share anything and everything that I've got, all the merit and whatever virtues anything good that I've developed on the path of really actually wanting to give that all of it, just 100%, like here, I want that for you. Please take
mm,
it, right? And that was quite different. It was very different from like the aspirational part of that, right? And so it was,
mm,
I just wanted to share that because it felt quite special. It was very open. It was very clear, it didn't feel forced. It felt authentic,
yeah.
genuine, like a real expression of something coming from the inside.
Yeah. And I'm curious, like, with that, the Tonglen and giving everything, sometimes I think it's helpful to, well, and they say this in the teachings too, but like to visualize that that person really receives it and
Yeah.
that their life is kind of transformed. You can kind of see the transformation. How was that with this kind of
Yeah.
newer experience?
It went as far as the receiving part of it, like they received it, but it didn't go. I didn't get too wrapped up in like visualizing what happens next. It was really
Yeah.
just an actual like I was not getting too conceptually bound up. It was really just I want to say feeling, but it's more than a feeling. It's
Mm.
like it's I don't know what to call it, but whatever that is, I just sort of like the experiential aspect of it, right, was there, and I didn't get too wrapped up in like thinking about it.
Yeah, totally. And maybe that's just kind of where your mind needed to be. I think maybe marinating in certain parts of our practice is actually pretty important to get a sense of
Mhm.
like, well, what is this? What
Yeah.
is this part? Um, and yeah, so that's really beautiful.
Yeah, I thought so
Yeah.
too. I just wanted to say, it really is possible that stuff does, it's okay, at least from my point of view. It's been in my experience, and Lama's told me, yeah, it's fine. To some degree, you have to do the aspirational aspect of it until you get there, right? I'm not saying I'm like there if there's a there to get to, but I'm just saying like things do change. It does sort of develop and it does grow. It's like working out. At some point, you're like, oh my God, I'm doing this thing that I was only hoping to do at some point. Now I'm doing
Yeah.
it, right? Like to actually feel like, maybe you practice doing a pull-up, but you never can quite do a pull-up. And then finally one day you actually do a pull-up. It doesn't mean like
Yeah.
you're a pull-up master or anything. You just did it,
You
you know,
did it.
you did it. And
Yeah.
it's like that. So that was really cool. And then the other thing that I thought I wanted to share was, I'm studying the Lam Rim. I'm reading about it in Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand. And my meditations recently have been on hell beings, both hot hell beings, cold hell beings, and then hungry ghosts. Okay, so that's
Mm,
as far as my meditations have gone. And I had this really remarkable experience when I was meditating on the hot hell beings.
mm.
First of all, like it's really interesting to meditate on something that I don't have like a strong like I haven't assigned strong truth value to, right? So,
Sure. Yeah.
I'm neither accepting nor rejecting it. I'm not trying to just say, oh, it's just symbolic or it's just this or it's just that. I'm just doing what the practice, right? Like,
Mm.
so actually, reading the descriptions of it, and like it says, Pabonka Rinpoche is like, and then like meditate on this, on these particular descriptions, actually, like
Huh.
visual, do this, right? And
Hmm.
I thought it was really interesting in the book. He says, we spend all this time visualizing deities and like these higher level beings, right? And it's more beneficial actually to visualize these hell beings, right?
Huh.
Spend some time there, which I was like, all right, I'm gonna take this to heart and I'm gonna spend some time with it. And I had this really gorgeous heart-opening experience related to the hot hell beings where it was really the thing that kind of came through during this experience was not so much directly related to the visualizing of these beings and walking through it in my mind, but rather the outcome was this feeling of like, wow, we have for a long time, myself very much included, we are all constantly harming each other in these
Mm.
incredible ways. And I could like feel like the pain of the beings that I've harmed, right? There was
Mm.
in particular, there was this one long time ago when I was like a young, like early teen, preteen or whatever. I shot a rabbit, right? And I
Hmm.
had this experience where the rabbit it didn't die and it went off into the bushes and it was crying like crazy. And it's
Mm.
always bothered me. I've always been I stopped shooting rabbits at that point, but it's always bothered me. But as I was visualizing this and going through it, I had this feeling where I was like, I could actually see like how like it was innocent enough on my part. I didn't, I wasn't trying to harm. I was just having a good time and I had my own
Mm.
stupid ideas about myself and others, right? That I thought it was all right to do this kind of thing. And as a result of that, the rabbit and perhaps its babies had this excruciating, hellish torment,
Mm.
including the heat of the bullet ripping out its inside. You know what I mean? Like the whole, like it became very graphic. And that was just like, I was like, oh my God, my background is littered with
Yeah.
me being like not just like experiencing hellish aspects of life myself, but rather actually being a participant in the hell of other beings,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that's unwittingly in many cases. There's so many things that I've done that I don't even know I've done that have contributed to like not just mild suffering, not just inconvenience, not just irritation, but like serious torment and anguish for other beings. And
Yeah.
that's just in this life that I'm aware of, right? And then it was really this amazing sort of like it didn't become like this guilt fest. It wasn't like some
Mhm.
kind of like, oh, I'm a bad person or what. It wasn't like that. It was just this like, whoa, look at what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be living a life that causes other beings to be in hell. And I don't myself ever want to experience being in those hells, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say it was just like maybe like a couple little pinpricks in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
paper over the window? Because it sounds like
Totally.
just that it's the that Mama's idea of like emergence rather than renunciation. So like
Yeah.
definite emergence, where it's like the experience that you were saying of like, I really never want to do that kind of thing again. Like
Right.
I really, really firmly now can see what it does, and I never want to do that again.
That's
Um,
right.
so that's a definite emergence from killing.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. Not, I mean, yeah. And so I think it's, yes, pinpricks. And to that end, I'm pleased with that. But, what I find, the reason I wanted to share it is that, sometimes, at least for me, there have been these times where I'm like unsure. I'm like, what the hell is this about? Like, I mean, hell being cold. Like, why are you talking about these different types of cold hells, hot hells, and why? What is this? Are you trying to scare me like some kind of a Christian? Like, what
Yeah.
is this? And what I found really interesting is like just to set that aside for a moment and do the practice, like to set all
Mhm.
skepticism, cynical sort of ideas, whatever, set it all aside for a moment and just do the practice and to witness what that practice held for me personally, right? And so
Yeah.
there is that sort of there's the lineage of, realizations that have been held by the masters before us that this all comes through, right? And I don't know what, Pabanka Rinpoche's experience was or Atisha's experience was, but they're sharing this because it was helpful to them. And I'm like, wow, whoa, that's real, like a pinprick in a sort of unexpected way. I had no idea what to expect. I went in with a
Oh,
certain idea, and what was revealed was something quite different.
yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
kind of like maybe a little bit of a bias like around kind of the hells. Like I mean pretty
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
myself,
totally. Yeah.
where it's like I definitely had the same experience where it's like, come on, do I really need to like go over this crap again? Like,
Hey.
do I really
Right.
believe this?
Yeah, like I don't know if you did this, but kind of like saying like, oh, that's like a Buddhist mythos. That's like yeah, it's a way of like explaining certain psychological functions or whatever. There's a way of sort of like dismissing it that I know I did, right? I've
Yeah,
kind of and thinking that I knew what it was about. When in fact just shut up and do the practice and see
yeah,
what happens, right? Just
yeah.
test it. Yeah.
Test it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And turns out it's like, oh yeah, all this violence that we're capable of, we don't even know. And we're
Oh my
just,
gosh.
I wonder too if like beings in those kinds of states recognize how bad they have it. Like
Hmm.
I'm sure like if they're tormented all the time, there's like, I'm sure some awareness, but like would they even know that there was a chance or an opportunity out? I mean, I guess like people do exit those realms. So
Once
um
the karma's been used up, right?
yeah,
Once
right.
once that energy is used up. Yeah, I don't know a lot about it.
Yeah.
But hopefully, like my God, like as much as I can try to prevent people or entities, beings from being there, staying there, whatever. If I like there was this very profound sort of like heart opening of like, ah, okay. I see what's
Mhm.
going on here. I really don't want that. I don't want that for any of us, Come
Yeah.
on. Let's move.
Not a one of us.
None of us. None of
Yeah.
us. Right. So yeah, those are some cool things. That's all just in the last week. And like I'm really enjoying my practice and love where it's going right now. And
Yeah.
little pinpricks and just keep on trucking.
Hell yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for hearing me out. But that's
Yeah.
enough
Thanks.
about me now. All right. Okay. But
No,
did
thanks
you,
for
I have a
sharing.
question for you
Yeah.
before did you try to be bored?
I did try to be bored.
Oh,
It was really hard.
okay. Okay. Tell me about it. What's going on?
So in doing kind of the boredom meditation, the one I found even harder was like trying to be more excited. And I noticed with both of them, there would be this kind of period where I would just be more focused. Like, because I was trying to figure out what it meant to be more bored or more excited, you know? And so it's just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm really looking at my mind right
Yeah.
now. Um, but then, of course it would slip into like the state that I would describe boredom or excitement. Um, so, it was still there, but then I could kind of be like, wait, is that it? Or what is it? What is boredom? What is excitement? And where does it where does it begin and where does it end? You know? So it was kind of an interesting little exercise to try
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you did it.
Yeah, no, thanks for suggesting it. I'm gonna keep trying it. Yeah, yeah, it's
So
good.
you were able to successfully make yourself bored.
I don't know if I was. Well, oh, I was able to, but it didn't feel like I was trying to, if that makes sense.
Oh, like you slipped into boredom, but you
Like
didn't
I
make it
slipped into
happen.
boredom.
That doesn't count. Nope. Sorry.
Dang it.
I'm
All right.
sorry. That
I'm gonna have
doesn't,
to
you had to
keep
make
trying.
it happen.
I have to make it happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't do the assignment. I gotta do it again.
Aw,
Yeah. But
yeah,
yeah, no, my training is good. Uh I'm I'm really, I don't know, I kind of go through phases of feeling really tired
yeah,
in my meditations, which didn't used to happen. I used to be less on the lethargic side, more on the excitement side. So that's kind of interesting to track.
yeah, yeah,
Be like, huh, okay, that's newish. Um, so just kind of looking out for that. But then what I'm noticing in my practice, like my daily practice outside of training, um, in my work, I work with a lot of elderly folks, and I would say the vast majority of them are just coming to the realization that they are going to die.
oh,
Um, and so I feel incredibly fortunate to like be able to witness um that experience and to be like, okay, I can't wait. Like I can't wait to just like figure out that I'm going to die. Like I am going to die. And there's been a little bit of yeah, I think what I would say a little bit of kind of like emergence in that way, where it feels like I'm waking up to the fact that I was born and I'm going to die, which sounds so simple, but it's like it it feels like I arrived here as this like packaged person. Like I'm just describing my experience. And now I'm kind of like, oh, right, this was like none of this was preordained. All of this is this process, and it's going to karma. My karma will means that I in this kind of part of the process is going to end. Um, and so that's just been really interesting, and I think it's in large part because of the work that I do, and being able to yeah, witness the suffering of realizing
yeah,
that without kind of a spiritual um foundation. So I see that with a lot of people, just extreme anxiety,
yeah, of course.
around what's gonna happen, and yeah, what I regret, what I would
Yeah,
have done differently,
that's right.
um, how I would have treated my loved ones, or the things that I feel
Yeah.
most kind of guilty about, so it's like, wow. I have to remind myself, like, really, really to I feel like to honor their stories and experiences, like, okay, how can I learn
Hmm.
learn from this.
Yeah.
And so it's been good. It's been uh yeah, I think just a little bit eye-opening.
For sure, for sure. I kind of wonder, that putting yourself into that situation where I don't know, how do I say this? I remember one time talking to Lama and him saying, Vajrayana is really like seeing this sunset as your last sunset. It's
Mm-hmm.
like that waking up like that to the full, the full reality of what is, right? And the impermanent aspect of it and all that.
Mm,
And contemplations on death and impermanence, it's interesting how, on the one hand, as you sort of alluded to, there's like you can sit with it. Most of us can say, "Yep, I was born and I'm gonna die." But there are that's it's protected. It has
mm.
this bubble wrap all around it, right? And your experience of seeing people whose bubble wrap is now gone, and they're actually like, "Oh no, it's here."
Yeah,
Right? We always think, oh, it's in the future. It's in the future. I know I'm going to die, but it's in the future. Not today, not tomorrow, in the future. And you're witnessing people who are like, oh no, it could happen today.
yeah,
It might happen soon. It will actually be happening sometime soon.
right.
Right? And
Yeah.
that's a di so like witnessing that is like it does sort of help us to put because our mirror neurons and ability to sort of put ourselves into their shoes, it's helpful, right? And
Hmm.
then you get to sort of have a little bit of that experience, without actually being in it, hopefully,
Yeah.
right? That experience of being there yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned what Lama said about Vajrayana and kind of seeing it as like the sunset, this being your last sunset, how beautiful. And I do try and remind myself like it could be today.
Yeah,
Like why not? It
yeah.
could be today.
It does happen to people on a daily basis.
All the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And that one definitely still feels like I'm definitely still like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna die, but it's gonna be when I look like the folks that I'm meeting with.
I hope that's
So
true. I hope
yeah,
that's true.
I hope
Yeah.
that's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot that I want to do. I have so much more training,
Yeah.
especially in this lifetime where I have my teacher and a sangha, like it's just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, we really have to take everything that we can in this lifetime.
Right, right. Putting that in, I love that you brought that up. That the combination of like, yes, actually, this is like a drop. It's just like it's going to evaporate. It's going to be over. Even if you get to live until you're 100 and I hope you live to 180 years old, right? Even
Okay.
okay, maybe not, but even if you did, that's
Yeah.
still it's just a drop, right?
It's
It's
still
still
gonna
nothing,
end.
right? In
Yeah.
terms, it's super fast, short-lived, right? And so like combining that with the recognition of like how precious like it's not just that we're born a human being, right? But all these like we have all these opportunities, right? We get to hear the Buddha's words,
Yeah.
right? We get to practice these teachings. We get to get little pinpricks, right?
Mhm.
We get to have a teacher who's guiding us along the path, right? And how special, how remarkable, right? Let's not dilly, let's not dally, right? Let's do this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Whew. Well, and speaking
Yeah.
of, let's check out some Lojong slogans, yeah?
Let's do it. I thought you'd never ask.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Here we
Yeah,
go.
and I know, wouldn't it be funny if we got the Lojong slogan
I was
like
wondering, I that would be hilarious.
that'd
Okay,
be pretty cool.
let's see what comes up.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Number 19. All Dharma has a single purpose. Great. So, according to Kenshin Thrangu Rinpoche, the first instruction is that all Dharma, all the teachings of the Hinayana and Mahayana, have one common purpose: to reduce or eliminate the clinging to a self. Whatever Dharma we practice, whatever mind training we meditate on, the purpose is to diminish that clinging. If our clinging doesn't diminish, then our practice isn't working properly. If we notice that the continual thought of ourselves as important is decreasing, it is one sign that mind training is working. If we want to know whether our Dharma practice is working or not, we have to examine it by asking, do I still consider myself to be important? Am I still clinging to myself as something precious? For instance, if we had a piece of gold and wanted to know how much we had, we could not know this just by looking at it. We would have to put it on a scale and weigh it. Similarly, measuring our clinging to self is a way of telling if our Dharma practice is working. Is our clinging to the self diminishing or increasing? It is said there are 84,000 kinds of Dharma, which are too numerous to understand and practice fully. For instance, if practitioners in the main vehicles of the Hinayana, the Mahayana, and the Vajrayana do not have a thorough understanding, they may have the impression that the Hinayana or Shravakayana is very different from Mahayana and even more different from the Vajrayana. This is not a correct view because all of the Buddha's teachings agree. All right.
Yeah,
Pretty straightforward, huh?
that one's pretty easy to understand.
I would
The
say.
part of this that I love is how it's like the peeling of the onion, right? Like you keep doing the practice and you continue to see how like, yep, it's working. It's the self-clinging. It is diminishing, but holy moly, there's still a lot left.
So much.
Right? I'm like, oh my God, like what a wonderful feeling to have a few of layers of that onion peeled away, right? How beneficial to myself and those in my life. Like, wow. that's amazing. And whoa, I still consider myself important. I still
Totally.
am really freaking precious.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I know we've talked about how like one of the like bigger or more profound changes is that like at least we're starting to notice.
Yep.
And that's actually a really big deal.
Yeah.
It's like and I'm really trying to when I do notice to not be like, oh God, that's so gross or like, I'm disappointed in myself, but just be like, yeah, there it is,
There it
right?
is.
There it is.
Yeah. 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 The last part here, which I think is really neat too, is something that I know that I grappled with early on was thinking of these different paths or vehicles rather as different things, different goals. There, one of them was maybe the right way, and the other ones were the wrong way, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
And then to realize, like, oh no, that it's all pointing to the same thing,
for
different
sure.
methods, different vehicles for different dispositions, different, different needs. But in fact, they all do the same thing.
For sure. Yeah. I think that's really helpful. Uh, Sometimes I'm not sure, like, I have that kind of doubt, like, am I practicing in the right vehicle?
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
like, should I be kind of focusing on things of a higher level? Or when I'm reading like something that's more complicated or what feels like kind of higher level, then I'm like, well, should I just be practicing on ethics? Because I'm still kind of screwing up in this way. But like we can't, reject anything.
Well, I think that that's one of the things that I absolutely love about our tradition and our teacher is the this we're doing all of it.
Yeah.
Like we're literally practicing all of these things.
It's pretty remarkable.
Right. I mean it blows me away. I never would I yeah. Every time I even like begin to get a little taste of it, I'm like, "Oh, oh, right. I am. I'm practicing ethics. Oh, I am. I'm practicing compassion. Oh, I am attempting to practice wisdom. You know?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
good feeling.
Indeed. Indeed. What do we got here? Vajra Varahi dancing to Keini.
Oh, cool.
Huh.
Yeah, I love the Dakini imagery and like the just like the really intense female
Mm-hmm.
figures in Tibetan
Same.
Buddhism.
Same. Same.
There's just
Indeed.
like, wow, what is a woman, really?
Yeah.
You know?
Give me some fierce female warriors.
Yeah, yeah. Love it, love it. Great.
All right. Cool beans.
We've got some more Lojong to do, don't we?
We do. We do have a little bit more Lojong, so we
Yeah.
should maybe we should talk about the slogan briefly that brought all of this up about authenticity, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
the slogan was what? How'd it go? Don't rely on your good nature.
Don't rely on your good
And there
nature.
was actually extensive commentary, and they all said felt like it was talking about different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have the random Lojong slogan up in front of me. But I do remember, I mean, I remember the slogan, but I don't have the commentary that the original commentary up in front of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it was
I,
hard, right? Like, don't rely on your good nature. Like, what the heck? I mean, isn't it our Buddha nature a good nature? Isn't
right.
really what we're trying to uncover here? Like, why would we not rely on our good nature? What does it mean, right?
For
And
sure.
yeah, so thankfully it turns out not to mean that.
Yeah. Right. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Well and also yeah, I feel like uh what's so cool about these slogans is that they make you kind of think that way in that way where it's like, okay, it stops you in your tracks a little bit. Like, hey, wait a minute. There's something that I need to mull over here. And so what I've been thinking about is how this kind of good nature is a little bit that like veneer or kind of like mask, that I put on that's like I'm just kind of playing nice because I'm very conflict avoidant. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of one way that like the quote unquote good nature, I rely on it because honestly it's a really good way to get what I think I want.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's a form of manipulation at times. Not like, active, aggressive manipulation, but it's these kind of subtle forms of like, yeah, I'm getting what I want by being really nice,
Yeah.
kind of placating, not, causing any waves.
Yeah, and there's also
Mm.
sort of societal cultural norms that
Sure.
you don't want to stand out as, being a rebel, a troublemaker or whatever, a rebel. You kind of want to like sometimes in order to get what you think you want, you just kind of go with the flow and don't rustle any,
Mhm.
what do you got to like don't ruffle any feathers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
exactly. That's kind of what it led me to be thinking about. And really it just leads back to, okay, this good nature that I think gets me what I want is actually it's just the eight worldly concerns.
That's
Um,
right.
Specifically reputation.
Yeah.
Really, really focus on reputation and praise. And that like, man, that is not good.
No,
That's
no,
ego. It's just
it's still
everything ego.
persona, right? In the sense of like the Greek word, the underlying, the mask, right? The persona mask. It's
Right.
still just like, it's just another mask, right? It's got a big smile on there and it calls everybody buddy or whatever. But,
Yeah.
like that's still just, it's not the authentic, actual you, right?
Yeah.
It's still just somebody you're kind of pretending to be, which I think,
Right.
like the whole practice here is removing the mask. But I just wanted to say I love you. Like when I think about this, I had a conversation with our friend Sue Forster a while ago where we were talking about this, and it occurred to me that it's very, very, very similar to the experience of going to a nude beach, right? So if you've ever been to a nude beach and experienced it, it has these qualities there where on the one hand it feels very scary,
Yeah.
right? And you're like unsure what like taking your clothes off and what does it mean? And you have there's all this sort of scary thoughts about it, conceptual ideas about it. But ultimately, if you do it, if you actually go do it, then and you overcome all the fears, all the anxieties, and you strip bare, and you're bare with, and everybody else is, there is a relief and a freedom and a relaxation and a
Yeah.
that happens. That's a part of that. You can't get it any other way, right? And
Yeah.
the feeling is that it's like this experience of removing our masks, right? Of being vulnerable and exposed and authentic selves here, right? Like that experience is somewhat similar, right? And it requires sort of similar processes of
Hmm.
like stripping, like first noticing like what are these masks? What are these clothes? What are these things that I'm pretending to be that are like my egoic self, right?
Yeah.
What are they? And that takes a lot of mindfulness. That's a tremendous amount of mind training to see like the onions I was talking about, onion layers. They're like layers of
Yeah.
clothes, right? And like first you're like, all right, oh my God, look at this. I have a whatever, a burqa on. Okay, I take that off. Next, oh my God, I got a t-shirt on, right? And so like there's
Yeah.
like the discovering of those layers and then the removing of those layers until you actually have like real authentic you.
Yeah. Right. Well, and I can see why it would be a relief, because keeping up appearances is really difficult.
Takes a
Um,
lot of energy, takes a
it
lot of money
does.
sometimes. It requires a tremendous amount of resources, internal, external resources to maintain those personas, to
Yeah,
maintain that ego, that good
sure.
nature.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of time.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
time.
Oh my God,
Hmm.
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
Think about how much we sort of like the amount of sort of energy that goes into aversion, right? Like into sort of like smushing down those anything that's like coming up that is an actual like anger is a good example of it, right? I no, I don't get angry. I don't get angry. I don't get
Hmm.
angry. No, you do. You're a human being.
Yeah.
If you don't experience anger, there's something wrong.
There's something wrong. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But how it manifests and how, like that's different. Skillful, working with anger in a skillful way is quite different than experiencing anger.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, I don't know. Anyway, I just feel like there's like so much of that what's it called psychologically when you do that? When
Oh,
you
suppressing or
suppressing, yeah,
yeah.
suppressing.
Hmm.
Exactly. There's
Yeah.
a lot of energy in suppression.
Really a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and what are the different reasons that that maybe you suppress? And I'm thinking for me, um, I mentioned earlier like about codependency
Yeah.
and codependency is just like a type of relating to others where um yeah, for me, it shows up in that I think that I know what other people want from me. And so then I kind of just like give them that. And I'm really hesitant to like bring up like my needs and boundaries because I'm worried
Yes.
that someone's going to be upset by it. And
Yeah.
it's different kind of in each relationship, but I know it's a very common tendency that really has to be challenged because it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
But I can see how that like that good nature of just kind of going along with what other people want or what I think that they want, which is sometimes not actually what they want, is another way of really suppressing.
Yeah.
When it would be so much healthier and like better, like just a better relationship to have that transparency. And honesty, I think, like, one of our vows, being honest, avoiding lying, is really, I think, helpful in bringing some of that relief, for
Hmm.
this one around the good nature. It's like, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna hold up this veneer anymore.
Yeah.
It's dumb. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm sitting here, I'm trying to think, like, which veneers are currently still there, like
Sure.
it's one thing to look sort of on the past and be like, okay, some of that's been stripped away, but there's still, I'm still not totally naked, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And I think that the conflict avoidance does lead to sort of projections, of self and other that are not accurate. And that thing that you described with the boundary setting, like being able to say no, like I always want to say yes. Like I
Mhm.
think that people really expect me to, like if they ask for help or want something from me, that I'm supposed to be able to help,
Yeah.
right? I know that like it definitely shows up. I've been working on it recently with more for a while with my kids, where they a lot of times when they're talking about trouble that they're having, either with other people or with themselves, um, I have this urge to fix it,
Yeah.
and that I've got a solution. I know what you need. I can always help. I want to help. I
Mhm.
want to help. I want to help, right? And to recognize like, actually you don't have all the answers. You're not actually always able or willing or capable, of helping. Because sometimes I
Right.
might be capable, but I don't have it. I don't have it in me,
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
sometimes I really just don't want to because there's some other reason, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so there,
Or sometimes you might, want to and have the energy to, but there's nothing you can do.
right.
There's no solution.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. All of those things, right? Like that's one where it shows up kind of regularly is this deep desire to to help, to fix, to make problems go away. But like what oftentimes turns out to be the most magical, most beautiful thing is to when I'm like, I don't, I don't have it and I'm not gonna, and that's that. But I can
Yeah.
still, the one thing I can do, oftentimes is just to witness and to hear and let another person's nature, good and otherwise, be,
Mm,
to have its expression and to have its expression witnessed without my taking any kind of action whatsoever. It's
yeah.
amazing to see how often that's actually healing. That's actually
Yeah.
helpful.
Well, it sounds like, you're showing someone how that they can be authentic in your presence. All
I
right.
hope so. I hope so.
That they don't
Yeah.
just have to keep up appearances and, say that they're doing fine, but like, yeah, no, actually I can be transparent with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Well, you know, it's kind of like my whole thing with the figurative farts, right? Like, yeah, so many people are like, I don't fart. I don't fart, right? Like, no, you do. Like, we all have figurative and real ones, right?
Yes.
And I feel like there shouldn't be any shame in it. Like, go ahead. If you got a bad mood, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, be in a bad mood. Right?
Yeah.
It's fine. Like there's no you don't need to like cover up your bad mood for me or for anybody else, right? And I don't but here's the thing is it's easy for me to want that for everybody else, right? Like, hey, go ahead, let it loose, let it rip, like be yourself, do your thing, right? But actually doing and following that advice myself, like
Mm,
it's funny because we all maintain these personas. And so part of my like persona, my ego, my clothing, my whatever, is this like is just that. Like, oh, I'm free. I can express myself however, but it's
yeah.
actually always still channeled within an egoistic sort of view. There are still limits, right? I am not
Mm.
completely exposed. I'm selectively exposed. I'm like, you can see my shoulder, you can see my knee, you know, but not my nips, right? It's like it's
Not the
something like,
nips. No,
yeah,
not the nips, not yet. Uh,
exactly. It's something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and I imagine that like some of that is good and necessary, like maybe some people don't get to see all of my, depth and vulnerability because it's just not appropriate to the relationship. But if it's
Yeah,
someone
that would
who's
be
waiting,
unskillful. Running down the
that would
street
be
naked is not
right.
skillful.
Unskillful, yes. And so yeah, we do have to use our wisdom. But that makes it, I'm thinking too about how um our precepts could be applied unskillfully in that way, where like I'm thinking about the Bodhisattva precepts in particular, where it's like, you know, if someone asks you for help, you know, provide it. And these kind of, really kind of like being generous, right? And giving ourselves to others. At the same time, there's a lot of ways that I think a codependent person can
Uh-huh.
take that in a very
Oh,
unhealthy
dude,
direction,
you freaking
right?
nailed it. You nailed it,
Yeah.
right? Of course, because there's a way of doing it from a spiritual materialism sort of standpoint, sort of phony Dharma practice, where
Yeah.
we're actually not examining our motivation, right? We're just saying, well, I'm a bodhisattva or I'm a bodhisattva in training, and therefore I am generous and helpful, and that means
Yeah.
this. No, that's like idiot compassion. That's spiritual materialism. That's just another freaking ego trip, right?
Right.
It's not authentic, right?
Right.
And it's actually sort of missing an important part of the entire process, right? Like I was saying earlier with my, with the Tonglen practice, there is some element of just going through the motions of practicing, of training,
Yeah.
like you're trying. You're like, oh, it says bodhisattvas are helpful and generous. I'm going to practice being helpful and generous. And sometimes because we're babies, we're in kindergarten or whatever, we
Yeah.
don't do it in skillful ways and we learn from that, right? But at
Right.
some point, that we have to sort of get over like that's like the form of it, right? Like so we read these prayers, these aspirations, we take these vows, and that's like the form, but we have to
Mhm.
fill it in with like the real sincere actual thing, right?
Yeah.
If that doesn't show up, then all you have is like this little skeleton, and it's like it's fake.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and sometimes like it's hard for me to figure out like, is this like, do I have capacity here? And so I've definitely, yeah, had that other type where it's like I'm doing the veneer. I'm like kind of, the spiritual materialism, like I'm a good person, I'm offering help. But then there's sometimes where I'm just like, I'm not sure. Like, is it that, I've really I don't have the time or capacity or resource that is needed here? Or is it that like I can actually be generous? So I think it's for
Well,
me, especially as like a recovering codependent
yeah.
and a baby Buddhist, I'm like figuring out that like when do I really need to be generous, and when do I need to be more kind of reserved? And in the one of the Bodhisattva precepts on generosity, it does like with more commentary, it does say that like uh, if you kind of have to be the last resource
That's
for
right.
someone, so like if they have someone else to go to, then go ahead and let them go to that person. And if they can't get what they need from that person, then yes, then maybe that's time for you to offer if you have it. If you don't have it, then obviously you can't. Um, and so, yeah, there's just like a little bit of kind of teasing that out for me where I'm like,
Well,
you
that's
know,
look at what you're doing though, Jack. Like that's it, right?
yeah.
Is that the intention, the motivation, the mindful awareness of it, watching it and saying like,
Mhm.
"Oh, hey, am I right? Okay, wait, I do have the capacity. There isn't anyone else. I am the last resort. Okay. Okay. Do I actually am I doing this because I think I'm a bodhisattva and I'm a nice person and this will avoid conflict or this will get me what I want? Or is it genuinely coming from a deep desire to actually be of benefit to this person? Where like
Yeah.
be real, right? Like that's the whole
Yeah.
point, right? Authentic, be real. And sometimes like it's that's the thing is like sometimes it's the real truth is like not it's not the same, right? Like the truth is like sometimes like no, man. I actually, yeah, maybe I do. I think this is actually the case for me sometimes. I do have the ability.
Hmm.
I do, I am capable of doing this thing. I have the time, I have the resources, I have the know-how, the whatever. But I don't want to. I
Mm.
actually am not at that. There's something else there. And then I can, if I'm mindful, I can work with that, right? Like I can stay with that and I can examine like where is that resistance? Why is it showing up, right? And usually it has something to do with some kind of judgment or some kind of idea like, oh, they this, me this, whatever, right? And then but I have to go through it. I can't go around, I can't circumvent that. I can't
Right.
just say like, well, I have the time and the ability. I need to because I'm a Bodhisattva in training and therefore I need to do this, right? Because that's just the form. And I
Hmm.
can't like that will skip a really important part of the process where I actually come face to face with the real sort of me, right? Like I
Hmm.
have to actually grab hold of the clothing in order to take it off.
Totally. Yeah. That's interesting. It seems like there's these kind of like um just these ways that things are mirroring one another in an interesting way where it's like um authenticity versus like aspiring bodhicitta, and these kind of ways that it's like okay we have to look at it in multiple ways, and it's going to be case by case which is
That's
all
right.
so difficult and
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think sometimes when I'm practicing generosity, I still have some lingering, like, oh, I don't want to, but I'm aware of it. And I'm like, and maybe if I know I'm aware of that, but choosing to practice aspiring bodhicitta, then maybe that's a positive motivation. Um, and then also kind of what you're saying about like authenticity, like what am I actually feeling? And is that something that is more important for me to express? Um, it's interesting. Again, it's going to be case by case.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that expression that you're talking about, we've all heard Lama talk about, how life is a show up, show me world, right?
Mm,
I saw this quote from a YouTube talk that he gave a while ago where he said, real enlightenment is the expressions world. It's the show me world, right?
mm,
And that means that like we have to express ourselves even when it's not the perfect form, right? Because sometimes it's going to have grief or doubt, or it's going to have these things that are there that we can't ignore them,
mm-hmm,
right? Like we can't just bypass that part of it, right? Our skepticism or cynicism or whatever it is, or nihilism or whatever, right? That we
mm-hmm.
have, it's there. We have to shine a light on it, right?
Yeah,
That's where, mindfulness practice, meditation practice, that's why we do that stuff, right? Like we have to trust the Dharma and the practice itself, and it's going to reveal things that are not going to be pleasant, and it's not going to be like some kind of like always perfect and like,
right.
oh, people love me, and and I'm kind, and I'm no, sometimes people are going to be like, man, did Jac really need to say that? Did Jac really
Yeah,
need to say that then to that person? Did that yeah, sometimes yes.
yeah, right, right. Yeah, yeah, and that it's the that good nature is actually the actual good nature is, yeah, be living in the Dharma and being authentic to what we're learning, and saying, okay, yeah, sometimes I'm gonna hurt someone's feelings. Okay,
That's
that's
not the
it.
goal. But if it
Yeah,
happens as a result, then so be it. We all learn from it and move on. And I think another sort of critical aspect to it, one sort of mindfulness practice that I think is pretty helpful is, like just like, in looking at the intention and the motivation is like whatever it is that we're doing, volunteering for work or helping people or whatever, would we still do it if no one noticed?
yeah, yeah, that's a great
Right?
balancing stick. Yeah.
I have that one with picking up dog shit all the time, where I'm
Mm,
like, do I do it even though there's no one looking? And the answer is yes, I do. I do. I'm
yeah.
not just saying that because I'm a good guy, but like there
Uh-huh.
is like that kind of thing. Like, is this true to me? Like, do I actually do it even though no one's giving me credit, no one's clapping, there's no ovation, there's none of that. I just
Yeah.
do it because it's me.
Right. Right.
Mm.
Yeah, that's your Buddha nature kind of trickling out.
Little pinpricks revealing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Yay. Oh, well, Daniel, thank you. This has been a really fun and enlightening conversation.
Yeah, it has been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy this. I hope we all get to live a real authentic expression of ourselves, right? Like I really do. I want that. Like I want that for
Mhm.
me. I want that for you. Like a real actual like I want to see you. I want you to see
Mm,
me. I want that. Like I want us all to be like that. And all
yeah.
the things that are like blocking, obscuring, getting in the way of that. Like I want it to like, come on. Let's throw off those
Obliterate the
into the beach.
obstacles. Yeah. Nice. Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you. If you can make a donation, lions or dharmacenter.org, we'd very much appreciate it. Otherwise, we'll see you next